And welcome back. The Iran Sanctions Act is set to expire next year, and it's sounding like senators plan to move soon in a proposal to extend it, but the debate could put the administration in a tight spot. Plus, Iran continues to operate with, well, it seems, impunity. They fire off missiles against UN resolutions, sending their leader of the Quds force abroad, again, violating UN resolutions, firing rockets near U.S. warships, while the Obama administration does absolutely nothing about it. Here to join me is former National Security Advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney and Senior Counsel for the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's John Hanna. Happy New Year, sir. Thank you for being here on The Dana Show with me, Chris Salcedo.
You too, Chris. Thanks a lot for having me.
Let's talk. Well, first off, let's talk about this sanctions fight coming up. Set the table, if you will, because the administration's terrible deal they've cut with Iran. Not only do we already know, as I outlined in the intro there, that Iran is violating every other single resolution out there, and the idea that they're going to adhere to Obama's deal because they find it so much nicer is laughable on its face. But deal with this whole sanctions fight. How could Congress, members of both parties, I might add, put a little wrinkle in this Iranian nuke deal?
Well, we do have this act that's been in existence since 1996, Chris, called the Iran Sanctions Act. It imposes certain sanctions on Iran, particularly in its ability to develop its oil sector. And that act expires every 10 years and has got to be renewed by Congress. And it's up for expiration in 2016. And Congress is determined to simply see it extended. It's not a new sanction. It's been around for 20 years. Congress wants to extend it in part because the deal itself says that if Iran cheats in any way, shape, or form, the United States is able to snap back sanctions that are already in place. Well, if we don't have the Iran Sanctions Act in place, we've got nothing to snap back to. And that's what Congress knows. They want to at least maintain some minimal bit of leverage over any Iranian cheating that we know for certain is going to happen under this deal. The administration, however, always fearful that they're going to anger the mullahs, get on the wrong side. Maybe Iran will threaten to disrupt Obama's great legacy in foreign policy of this nuclear deal. They're going to try and fight this tooth and nail. They're saying this is a new sanction. We shouldn't impose it. We've got to give this nuclear deal time to be implemented. That's where this fight is going to occur on.
This is nuts. It seems, you know what, I've given up a long time ago thinking that Mr. Obama is clueless. I think this is all with intent. On my radio show, I've been talking about this extensively, how it seems none of the objectives of the administration make sense unless you put this question in front of everything that he's done is, how does this best benefit Iran? Then everything he's doing makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, whether we like it or not, the president has determined that this Iran nuclear deal is what's going to make his legacy in foreign policy. It is the equivalent of Obamacare in domestic policy, the crowning achievement of the Obama presidency, and everything he has done over the last several years in looking away as Iran literally rapes the country of Syria, creates this bleeding wound in the heart of the Middle East, teams up with Russia for the largest Russian military intervention in the Middle East in the last 40 years. All of it looking away, imposing no price or consequences on the Iranians. Most recently, of course, with this firing at our ship in the Straits of Hormuz, holding on to American hostages, American citizens inside of Iran now. That's all done with an intent to appease the mullahs and to get them to at least go along with this deal until Obama can get out of town, get out of Washington in 2017 and say that he was the man, at least when he was in power, the Iranians didn't get the bomb.
So yeah, and you just articulated everything I was going to talk about, John, too, about how, look at what Iran has already done. The hostages, the firing off of two tests of missiles capable of carrying nuclear payloads that were against UN sanctions. Of course, we all know Qasem Soleimani, head of the Quds force, he travels to Moscow. That's against UN resolutions that the United States has an obligation to enforce. And of course, Team Obama does nothing about that. So he treats them with kid gloves. And then it came out today, I think it was... the Wall Street Journal came out with a report today talking about how the administration has been caught spying on our ally Israel, and it may have roped in members of Congress who were talking with Bibi Netanyahu trying to stop this terrible nuclear deal. It seems that if you're a friend of the United States or you're a citizen of the United States, Barack Obama has it in for you. But if you're an enemy to the U.S., man, he can't treat you nicely enough. What do you make of this story coming out of the Wall Street Journal?
Well, I think it's a really big deal, potentially, Chris. I mean, in the first place, as you say, Obama has clearly decided to weaken our overall intelligence capabilities by deciding that we weren't anymore going to try and find out the intentions using our electronic listening capability to find out what allied governments are thinking and doing. But the one country that he singled out, the one ally he said he was going to continue spying on was, in fact, Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu specifically, the one and only liberal democracy in the Middle East and one of America's best allies. So it's this outrage of continuing to single out Israel as almost our primary nemesis in the Middle East. But perhaps even more disconcerting is, in fact, the domestic angle to this, Chris, and the use of or abuse of our foreign intelligence capabilities to, in effect, spy on members of Congress who were simply looking to oppose a very bad nuclear deal that the president was going to try and force through Congress. This was purely a domestic political dispute.
John, I don't mean to interrupt. I don't want to lose that point because we have seen political operatives from Team Obama infect areas of our government which heretofore have been off limits to politics. I'm talking about Valerie Jarrett and others. And this is a prime example of the abuse of our defense apparatus against citizens and allies. It doesn't get any worse than that.
Yeah, no, we've seen this just recently, on your point, Chris, in the defense intelligence community. Our intelligence analysts at CENTCOM, now up to 50 of them, have put forward affidavits saying that the intelligence they were putting up the chain about what was happening on the battlefield against ISIS, that those books were being cooked by people further up the chain. And my guess, although it hasn't been proven yet, is that if you trace that all the way back, there are political signals coming out of the White House. We don't want to hear that ISIS isn't contained, that ISIS isn't the JV team, that we are not winning this war. So this is, just another further proof, this corruption of our the National Security Agency to listen in on what members of Congress are strategizing about how to defeat Iran, Obama's bad Iran deal. That's just one more outrage that's been committed in terms of abusing our national defense sector.
John, I could talk to you the whole show, honestly. John Hanna, everybody, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Have a happy New Year, sir, and hopefully we'll see some better policy come up in the year of 2016. I doubt it, but hopefully. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right,
Let's hope so, Chris. Be safe.
You betcha. All right, coming up.